So this is Power Hour for January 2025. We do this once a month on the third Tuesday. So today, what we are going to be covering, and in this order, is the 3 pillars of good marketing. What is the underlying principles that you need to have in your, especially your social media marketing, but this really counts for any time that you're communicating to the public. We're going to do a quick self-assessment. And then we're going to actually have these out of order. We're going to learn the trust formula as well. Then we're going to do a self-assessment on both of these things. And then if we have time, I hope we get there, I have created a really powerful AI prompt that takes all this information, takes your self-assessment information, you plug it in, and it gives you the social media content that you need to address those weaknesses that you found in your messaging. So the first of the 3 pillars is you need interest in what you're doing. I found that a lot of times with hypnosis, people do not, especially if we say we're selling hypnosis, they're not necessarily going to be interested. So my suggestion to generate interest in what you're doing is to make sure that you don't talk about necessarily hypnosis directly as your product, but address those pain points. That's how you're going to generate interest. People are not going to resonate necessarily with hypnosis or hypnotherapy because very few people have been exposed to it. And there's lots of myths and misperceptions. But if you talk about all of their pain points, the pain points of your specific audience, how you can solve those pain points, that's really interesting to them. So it's sort of like you want to make sure that you're not in a room of people who have teens, but you're talking about potty train. That's my little metaphor there. You want to be, when you talk about pain points, talk about your particular ideal client. Maybe it's sleep. Okay. Don't be in a group that has no, or an audience that has no concerns about or problems with sleep problems. You want to be in a Facebook group of insomniacs. So also with interest, when we're talking about the pain points, make sure that when you're speaking to people, you're speaking to the right group of people. So as you grow your business, that will naturally happen to you as you gather followers. But if you go out, make sure that you're talking to on the right subjects. So let me see. What do we have next? It's misnumbered, but does my audience genuinely need what I have to offer? For instance, if you go out and you were to do a special talk to some realtors, you might talk about what their special needs and problems are, but you might not talk about sleep there. Again, so make sure you're talking to the right room of people. How is this related to the very well-known concept of know, like, and trust? So interest goes deeper than just people knowing who you are, because a lot of people know who we are. Interest is ensuring that we really are having the right match between our audience and we're talking to them about what their needs, what their pain points are. Okay, so that's the first of the 3 pillars. The next pillar, and I'm going really fast through this, so I'm going to break after we get to the end of the 3rd pillar, okay? And then you can ask questions. The second of the 3rd pillars is they need a reason. So they need a compelling reason to choose you. So there's a lot of solutions for sleep problems. Why should they choose you? We have to use what we know about ourselves and what makes us different from all of the other hypnotists and all of the sleep solutions to give our audience a compelling reason to keep following us, to keep coming back to us for solutions. So it's about understanding what makes you different, how your solution is unique and solves perhaps problems that the others don't. Okay. How is this related to that know, like, and trust? Well, this is different than someone liking you. It goes much, much deeper. It fosters that connection because you're giving them a reason to understand why they need to keep coming back to you and come to you for solutions. So they're going to keep coming back to your feeds, keep coming back to your posts, then also eventually come to you for that solution. Okay. And the third pillar of good marketing is trust. We have to build trust with our audience. We all know people that we see, especially on social media, but it can be, of course, any kind of advertising, any kind of marketing, any kind of public facing messaging where we detect things in them that we don't like that makes us not trust them. They might be inconsistent. They might not act very professional. They might say they're an authority, but they don't really have the background or the experience to be an authority. So those are all different components of creating trust. And in a minute, after I break for questions, we're actually going to learn a deeper formula for you to understand how to create more trust. Because actually, I think that can be, it's involving our authenticity and who we really are. And when people can detect that we are who we say we are and we deliver what we say we deliver, and we have consistent messaging that's professional and all those things put together, it's much easier to trust us. So trust itself, I'm going to offer you an even deeper formula to understand how to create more trust in your messaging. Now, of course, when it comes to the know, like, and trust, this is very similar to the know, like, and trust concept, but this one is actually going to go deeper because we're going to learn that through some activities that you can do and your messaging orientation, how that really goes deeper. So I've covered that very broadly, very, very quickly. I'm going to break for questions because I did that fast. So pop in. I'm not going to stop sharing, but if you have a question, go ahead and ask me any question you have on any of these three pillars, anything we've covered up till now. If you have a question, just unmute and ask.
I got a question.
Got it, Brenda, go.
Self-orientation. What do you mean by that?
Okay, we're going to talk about that when we get into deeper formula of trust, but self-orientation is just your messaging and your focus. Is your business focused on you, your needs, money, or is it focused more on the client? Are you here? Do you have a service mentality or a self mentality?
Thank you.
And that's a good question because I hadn't defined it yet. So any other questions? Is it making sense so far? Just give me a thumbs up or a head nod. Okay, so the three pillars are interest. They got to be interested. You got to be talking to the right people. They have to have a reason. You got to be different. You got to be unique. You have to offer something unique that they really need that a lot of people maybe aren't offering, and you have to have trust. So what happens if you only have two, right? It's easy to know what we would if we only had one, but let's just pretend that you had just interest and just reason, but you didn't have any trust. People wouldn't feel safe or confident with you. So they're not going to, especially probably book services with you. They might keep following you, but they'll probably never follow through on signing up, coming to your events, things like that. If you just have interest and trust, but no real compelling reason, they're not going to be compelled to choose you. Like, yeah, it's cool that she's really into hypnosis. I mean, that's really interesting. She's talked to me about my sleep problems and I do trust her, but I can go get that solution. She's the same as everybody else. So why don't I just go find it cheaper somewhere? So you haven't given them a compelling reason to choose you above all the others. And if you have reason and trust, but no interest, they're just not engaged, you're probably going to be struggling to attract new followers, get responses to your requests for comments and engagement. Really, truly in social media, it's not about the follower count, although that is a factor. It's really more about engagement, if you had if you had a fanatical group of 200 followers that were always engaging with you, that would be much better. Then I'm giving a personal example here. My very unactive 15K on TikTok, because I haven't been posting on TikTok. There's nothing happening there because I've been busy in life and TikTok ban and all that crap. So nothing is happening there. But my Facebook, where I only have 1,800 people who follow me, is much more active. And so even though it's, what is that? 1/5 the size, maybe less, it's actually more beneficial to me. So your audience needs to have a real interest in what you do. And